What is up, everybody? Oh, chat is live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate everybody. Look at this holiday week. It's wild, man. Today I got a special guest, so let's go ahead and bring him on here in a little bit. He's our friends over at Lux have decided to sponsor us, and ready for this? Emp.
What's up?
What's up? And help out a little bit with some of our Catalyst watches. But if you guys are new to the channel, new to the show, what we do every Monday, as long as the market is open on Monday, even if it's a short week like this week, we just kind of go over what hit the headlines last week, what do we need to look out for this week, and just kind of help plan the week moving forward. So usually like to do this time around 12-ish Eastern, just because the market tends to lull out a little bit. Look at this chat's going crazy. And the guest Fraggle leaves. Too funny. And yeah, the beard is back for sure. But yeah, I mean, if you guys don't know, and Emp, you help them out a little bit if you can. But holiday trading is wild, and I mean super wild. If you're not used to this, look, it's not a time to assume like massive direction. Low volume trading across the board for the bulls and the bears. Things can get, and I say wild. It's like it's kind of like a tsunami, right? Like sometimes once things start, they just don't stop, and they can't be stopped for a while until they kind of like run their course. So I guess that's my cautionary note here. We do have some stuff to go over. But the one thing I'll say is there's not a lot of data right now. So you can either be catalyst driven, if you will, or when there's not a lot of economic data on deck, what happens is that the market leans very heavily on technicals. It's not that it goes sideways. It's that it's extremely technically driven. But we will take a look at some charts. We have some stuff to go through. And if you guys want to take a look at some tickers, go ahead and drop them in the chat. But anyways, Emp, actually, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to go through a little bit. So I think crypto's been in the news a lot. So, and I'm getting all these questions. I'm like, what's up? What's up with crypto? Is that the top? Where are we in the cycle? Can crypto come back? Not that it's like gone. And I'm kind of up in the air on this one, to be honest. I will have to pull the chart later, but if you guys don't know, this is the one piece that's kind of got me on edge right now. And that is every halving cycle, the tops or the incremental gains have been incrementally smaller. Weird, right? And I think it was last halving cycle. And that's just kind of like you get to a certain size, you can't just continuously grow. But the last halving cycle, we ended up with this massive double top right around this 67, 70K level. And then we proceeded to dump off. And usually seasonally, not that we trade off the calendars, but usually the top's like around Q2. And then we have this pretty big lull into the summer months, which you guys should know by now. That's kind of crypto seasonality, into like the final rally Q4, which would be Q4 2025. So I think my gut is here that everything is, even though normally we top out around Q2, we'll have to see if this local low kind of holds. And I think especially the one catalyst would be inauguration. To me, is like once we get closer to inauguration, maybe this dip gets bought, and that's a little bit lower potentially. But I would wait to see if we base out towards inauguration, and then if we get that final Q2 push into the top, right? And then base out summer months, and then final rally Q4. But that's kind of like my timeline. So here now, I'm pretty neutral. That's what I have to say. So I think everything kind of goes up in setup mode to me. I will caution, there's nothing that you can buy that's been that has risk priced in. It's all up there, man. So congrats, number one, if you guys were crypto bulls. But it's all very toppy. So I think at this point, you probably want to be in the mode of, where can I start reloading and trimming if you haven't yet. So I'm going to do a quick recap on some stuff that I got. I don't have a whole lot. And then Amp, if you could do a screen share after this slide and then go through some of the Catalyst Watch from Lux. But we did not get a ton of data this last week. And honestly, we're supposed to get NFP the first Friday of every month. So I was thinking that we might actually get it. We might get it this week. But guys, we don't even get non-farm payrolls on Friday. So it's really sparse out there. But that said, so what we did get last week? So we got 219,000 jobless claims versus 224,000 consensus. That's actually the highest in about 3 years. Home sales month over month, 5.9 versus an 18.4 or 14. Now down nearly 15% prior, but again, lower than the forecast. So that didn't really change a whole lot. A couple things, on the headlines, prior headlines. So Moody's chief economist Zondi, and I thought this was notable because I think it's probably spot on, is that the storm clouds to track moving forward will be tariffs, deportation, and inflation. So those three things, if you hear them in the headlines moving forward, I think those will start to be those market moving events. So I think pretty important to put those on your bingo card in terms of like if these are in the headlines, those could be market moving. We will get the next FOMC in January. So far, it looks like this. I forget what this is. I think it was Seeking Alpha. Maybe article, but FOMC is getting 3 hawks, Seeking Alpha, and 1 dove in 2025. So that's kind of where we stand. We were pricing in about 3 to 4 rate cuts in 2025. Now we're pricing in 2. The market likes to overreact. So if we ever see a situation where the market's literally only pricing nothing in, then you guys, I don't care about FOMC. But yeah, you're right, Fraggle. Give me the next NFP for sure. But they're not giving it to us this week, man. So we're gonna get it next week. But just know if you're watching the Fed funds rate, I think if you go to that CBOE Fed Watch tool and you start to see no rate cuts priced in for 2025, that's probably a good buying opportunity moving forward, at least into Q1. So that said, the only other stuff, we got 2 Boeing plane crashes. One was, I think, in South Korea, and MP said the other one was in
Thailand, I believe.
Yeah. One of these is due to birds. The others is faulty landing gear. It's sad, for sure. But what I would say is, the Boeing setup was mostly de-risked, and I purchased Boeing not too long ago. What's up, guys? You guys are hilarious. But I hate to say this out loud because it's going to sound so bad, but Em's heard me say it a couple times in passing, and I was like, when Boeing was getting towards the lows, like 130s, I was like, okay, probably the next crash, right? And here we are. I actually bought it already and had a nice little bounce, closed a lot of the options and started to add back slightly. And then we get this headline, which it's just been good news recently. So Boeing getting a bad news headline and actually holding up this well, I think is really, really interesting. We haven't had any, poor headlines on Boeing for a while. So at this point, I think this is where we really do get to see how much of this was priced in. And yeah, Boeing was down like 3-something% in the pre, but I can't believe I'm saying this. It's already starting to rebound. And it's still over its 200 days. So this is probably like my number one most interesting kind of like boomer stock for 2025. And this will probably actually go on my stock list for, focus trades of 2025. So, what this, yeah, I mean, we'll see. But the price it's not, it should have been down. We should have been able to see like 160s, 165s real quick. We got to about 170 on Boeing before they started to buy it up. But that's where we landed. So I think from here, the market really gets a chance to say, was this priced in or not? The only other headlines look January 9th. Sorry, my mouth. Jimmy Carter passes, longest U.S. living president at 100. So January 9th now, the stock market is officially closed. Look at this, we're rebounding a little bit. We'll get into some index TA too, but I will say I think we're going to spend some serious time in this, what we're going to call like a low volume pocket. And Emp will help out with some of that TA stuff too. But this week, moving forward, look, we really don't have a whole lot. Wednesday, we are closed for New Year's. And then Thursday is like the only data point that we get this week. But Emp, I'm going to go ahead and open up your screen share real quick. If you want to go through Lux's Catalyst Watch, I can see it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love the title here. Will 2025 bring a bear market? Let's hope not. And, a little fun there, but let's jump through and look at kind of what we have today. This morning, we did have Chicago PMI. That was an interesting number. If anybody saw the number, it came in a lot lower. Pending home sales, small auction, not really worried about that. China manufacturing. A lot of people have been paying attention to the China trade. I don't know, Paper, if you want to hit on China at some point in this video. But China manufacturing PMI, they put that on here just because China's been kind of a hot topic right now. Tomorrow, New Year's Eve, we do have a full day tomorrow.
New Year's Eve.
It's not like Christmas Eve or Black Friday or anything where we have a half day. We do have a complete full day tomorrow. We have the Schiller home prices in the morning. The bond market does close early, but the stock market, you see, does not close until 4 Eastern, normal closing time. Cheers to New Year's Day. That will be recovery day for a lot of people, I'm sure. Tom Crown in here.
I love Tommy.
Thursday, big one on Thursday morning. We are going to be live on a space with Evan for this, but Tesla deliveries. So make sure you have that. If you trade Tesla, you definitely want to have your eyes on Tesla delivery numbers coming out Thursday morning.
All of them, right? Tesla, Rivian, a handful of others also, right?
Yeah, I think it's not just exclusively Tesla. Tesla's obviously the headline, of course, but I think Rivian and somebody else is also going to release some type of data, probably delivery at some point. But yeah, Tesla delivery numbers on Thursday morning, definitely going to be worth watching, especially if you trade Tesla. I will be very interested in that. Our jobless claims that we get every Thursday, 8:30. Then we do have some manufacturing PMI. Construction spending, not as big of one, and the energy inventory is not as big either. Friday, ISM manufacturing in the morning, and then Fed's barking. That's kind of the first Fed speaker that we've really heard from since FOMC. I don't know if you've heard any. I haven't really heard any commentary or many speeches from. I mean, it's been the holiday season. It makes sense. They're not really at a bunch of events, but Fed's barking to kind of hear what the Fed's saying into January FOMC, where they essentially have priced in that we're going to skip and we're not going to have any cuts then. But to hear kind of the commentary, because boy, was Powell nice and hawkish for us a couple weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see what Fed's barking says on Friday. And that's pretty much it for the Catalyst Watch there. But definitely
on CES.
Say that again.
Do they have anything on CES or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, so I believe we have CES this week also, the Consumer Electronics Show.
That's on Monday. I believe that's Monday. I know NVIDIA is supposed to go on Monday.
Is it Monday?
The 6th. I'll pull that up. I'll take a look into it while you continue on. Let me see. I was looking at that CES.
I had on one as like potentially Friday pre announcements, but yeah, CES coming. We see some. God, I saw this ticker. Like a company I used to work with a lot, they had won a CES award way back in the day, like most innovative. Um, Actually, like huge pop on the stock. I'm like, holy crap. So I know CES stuff is coming, but sooner than later. I don't know exactly when. But again, yeah. So I think the only major market moving event is going to be jobless claims for the broad market. Tesla deliveries, I think, is going to be a huge watch for sure. It's really like all autos. So it's like Tesla, Neo, Xpeng, Rivian, Li Auto. I mean, there's literally quarterly sales from GM, Ford, Toyota, which, by the way, Toyota had a huge pop recently. It's wild. But yeah, it's actually like everybody. So I think, let me see what else. That's mostly it. So we were just kind of looking at some of the old, what's up with the Santa Claus rally? Do we still get this? We could take a look at SPY. I'm going to take a look at SPY, but we had a huge dip. But if we're up, I guess, the 1.5% from here to the first couple of days of the year, that's probably where we're going to land. But I would say be a little cautious right now where we sit with this. And in terms of like the January effect trade, I was a little cautious here. So IWM, big bounce today, but this is still going to be the one for me to watch. If we do get a lot of this rebound, this is heavily, this is going to be the one that's most primed and ready to go. But even where we are here now, I don't know. I don't know about the Santa Claus rally right now. So we have to see, right? We'll take a look at the actual charts here in a little bit. This is the earnings calendar this week, guys. Literally nothing. I mean, talk about like
bare bones.
Yeah,
bare bones.
Literally nothing.
It's
so
really 2 weeks of just pause right now for
yeah. So between little to no economic data, little to zero earnings, what happens is that the market leans very heavily on technicals. And I said that to begin the show, but I think your technical sessions here, this is probably going to be one of the most important things. I did want to cover something earlier. I did a post on this MSTR like dilution piece earlier, and I got some hate, which was to be expected. Where is that? So it was wild, right? So 330 million shares available to 10.33 billion.
Is that like 3,000%? 3,000.
So this is like super controversial, right? And so like I know MSTR and the whole game theory thing is like, look, now we're talking about doing at the money dilution, which is not what we were talking about before. So that does mean that for every share of MSTR, as they use common stock to purchase Bitcoin, you're not going to be holding as much Bitcoin per share. What I don't know is I don't actually know like what nobody really can know because every purchase is a little bit different. But now from here on out, whenever they do make purchases, your Bitcoin holdings actually gets the good troll post for sure. Your Bitcoin holdings actually get diluted, so you own less and less Bitcoin per share of MSTR whenever they make purchases now, which is wild. I would say that even though this is just a filing, though, doesn't mean they're going to do it. Legitimately, if they diluted 10 billion shares, that's like trillions of dollars. They couldn't buy all the remaining Bitcoin available. So in reality, there's no way that they're actually going to do this much dilution. It's just kind of like opening the floodgates to do whatever they feel like they need to do when they do it. So I guess the question is, how responsible are they going to be? And if they do, so today MSCR actually purchased more Bitcoin. I think it was $209 million of Bitcoin just recently today announced. But it was a smaller, so their purchases are lessening, if that makes sense. So that's good to see, I guess, if you are MSTR shareholder, because the price of Bitcoin is going down slightly at the moment. You can take a look at that. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for sure. Here's where we are on Bitcoin. So I know some people had requested like Ethereum TA. What I will say here now is like, you know, when I was with our buddy Amit last time, and I'm not exactly bullish here on Bitcoin, is that I actually needed this, what was it? I think 95s. It was here to be one of these, the lows, right? So if this was a higher low, this was the last lower low. It's unfortunate, but definitively this is a lower low. We still have this kind of volume shelf right here. So this is where we sit right here on Bitcoin. It's kind of like setting up. I don't see it falling out just yet because we do have the inauguration coming. But my caution is if we do get this bit of a, let's call it rug pull, it could be in the 80s to 70s potentially, because we have a huge low volume pocket from that rally to move forward on. I haven't done this yet, but have you done any fibs on Bitcoin from that? Let me see here. So from this high to call it whatever this local top is. God. That's about 78. So half of this from here to here is going to land you right around 78K, which, you know, quite frankly, in the grand scheme of things, is not that much. It's really not. But, you know, it might feel rough if we do lose this volume shelf here that we're sitting on. So it's literally on the spot where it's like, okay, you need to see like, you know, new money come in or some profit takers up here reload back in the low 90s, high 80s area for this kind of trend to stay intact. For right now, I don't even have a higher low below the 50-day, and that's usually what I like to look for. But this is kind of a rough look here. I mean, this is even like a bit of a double top, right? And Bitcoin right around just under 100K. So call it digestion. But if this does pull back, look, I'm not selling any Bitcoin, that's for sure. But what happens to MSTR in the meantime? That's a bigger question to me. So MSTR, little bit of a double bottom, similar situation, just hanging on by a thread, man.
Right, coin's kind of already playing out the breakdown too.
Yeah. So the one that's holding up is my Robinhood, which I love. But there is to be aware of. There's a session gap here. I don't know if this is the election gap, but 271 on MSTR. You do have a hard session gap and a very like clean. I say clean as like crystal clear, low volume pocket right in here, where there was absolutely zero trade. So this area is a massive imbalance on the market that it looks like the stock is going to try to fill sooner than later. And honestly, you know, I did post a short on MSTR. It was just for this. That's all I'm really looking for. I get there's some craziness going on, but I mean, can Michael Saylor hold up the Bitcoin market as a whole? I don't know. All right. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I forgot. So Miss Cleo she said she was going to take the week off, but then it turns out that she didn't. So I do have her reading. You guys want to take a look at that? We got some more requests. All right, let's do this. I'm going to move on. Let's go ahead and stop in with Miss Cleo and see what she has to say for this week. Dude, legitimately, I haven't looked at these cards at all. And all I'm seeing right now is that the theme card is a freaking Joker.
Like, oh, no.
This whole is a joke, man.
Oh, no.
Is that a Joker? I don't even know. No, okay. It looks like a Joker.
Jester.
Yeah, okay. So this card is technically called the Two of Pentacles. I've never seen that card before, so I have no idea what to say about that. This is today. I have not seen this card before either. It really doesn't look good. This is probably 5 of Pentacles, but we are clearly out in the snow and then find ourselves begging at the tree. This is a 4 of Cups. Wednesday's off. So what are we going? We're going 5, 4, 9 of Pentacles. Oh, okay. This is a little bit better. So something happens Thursday. That's all I can tell so far. Thursday looks good. And then we go to Judgment, which is kind of iffy. 10. But this is the reading for the week. Does Lex have a reading for the week? I don't know. But yeah, this card looks like the Joker, but it is not. So it's the 2 of Pentacles. Let's see what it says. So Miss Cleo says we're walking a tightrope. Okay, we're walking a tightrope as we try to get back to the top inch by inch. It tends to close in the green, especially if the prior week was red, which I believe it was. That doesn't mean it'll be an easy move to catch, though. We could spend most of the week grinding, killing both calls and puts. Yeah, that actually sounds appropriate. So today, let's see how well she caught today. So today is Monday, the 5 of Pentacles. This is suffering. So, but it's not super bearish. It closes within 0.5% of the prior day's close, which means no trend. We may see some strength after lunch. Oh, she's nailing this. So if we buy dips, that's the best place to try. Okay. I think this is interesting. We'll get to the charts. I will say before we move on, if we lock the lows, so remember, what does a trend look like, right? If we start locking the lows of the day early in trade, so within the first hour or 2 of trade, and we close towards the highs, then that's a better sign that the lows are in or that we're in for a near-term bounce. And so far, that's what we're getting. So we have gotten the lows of the day so far in the early trade. Now, whether or not that holds, we'll see. But at the moment, it looks like that's more likely than not. Tuesday, suffering. Oh, this is tomorrow. Suffering, followed by apathy. All right. Sounds like quite a week. It's New Year's Day. This is New Year's Eve, and some markets are closed. I don't know where Miss Cleo lives, but so it's New Year's Day wherever Miss Cleo lives, and some markets are closed or half days. Liquidity could be light. I agree. Liquidity would be extremely light. It often trends after choppy days and chops after trendy days. It has an equal chance of continuation. So she has freaking no idea. It basically says suffering followed by apathy. So suffering was today, Monday. Apathy tomorrow. Is that what that says? So back up to the top of the range? Possibly. Equal chance, though. She has no clue. Best advice is to watch Monday for clues. If it chops green, then there's a high chance of green trend. If it trends red, it's likely chops near flat. Otherwise, we're selling rallies. Okay, Miss Cleo. Wednesday off. Thursday is the 9 of Pentacles. So look for a continuation from Tuesday's price action. Miss Cleo, I did some DD. Miss Cleo lives in Florida. Yeah. I don't know about that. Continuation from Tuesday's price action on to Thursday. But with less energy, closer to the middle than the prior day. This could be a grind higher for sure. I'm looking at this oil too. This is wild. It means if Tuesday's red, then we'll be red here, but less so. If Tuesday's is red chop, then we'll close flat or just above it. Tuesday's green trend, look for a weaker green day. Okay, so Tuesday is the day that Miss Cleo's thinking we're going to have some trading here. And then Thursday is kind of like digestion of whatever. And then Friday is judgment. I hate it when she says similar to crypto. We're not reading crypto, which is a choppy day that kills. And then nowhere at the close. So it's just Tuesday to Thursday. And then that's it. It's sell rallies, buy dips, kind of day to sell premium instead of buying. And then Friday, you could probably take off. So recap, lots of mean reversion with a chance of trend on Tuesday and maybe Thursday. Expect a lot of chop and whipsaw action. Honestly, that's like legit exactly what I'm seeing right now. Let me pull some of these charts here though. Let's see, where did my chart go? Oh. Was it this one? I don't even know. So this could be SPY that I was looking at. Oh, that was Bitcoin. All right. Well, hey, if you got trades and stuff to go through, have at it. But if you want to, I'm going to do this quick look here on the major indices. So this is what I was looking for. If you guys were in, I wanted to do one thing today. Do you ever use a TPO chart?
Yeah, a little bit. I've got some buddies that are way deeper into it than I am, but I do like to look at it from time to time. You can kind of see the profile of what happened throughout the day a little bit better.
Yeah. So this is time and price, not volume weighted profile. It's a little bit different. So it's got the volume on it, but there's time and volume together. So, what I'd say right now is that so I've taken the chart off, right? But when we were looking at the chart this morning and really at like spaces earlier, this was like the local lows here in the 580s for SPY. This is SPY. And you can see a lot of volume kind of building up over here in the 590s. If you pull this back, we're seeing this is where the price has actually spent a lot of time right in here, all of this, right? So if SPY were to hold, and this is why I said earlier today, if there was going to be, a decent support level, it's going to be right in this 585s, 580s for SPY, right? So we have all of this area to defend right here. So large quantity of buyers, they bought the dip as we approached recently, and they were buying again in here, and definitely most of the volume was actually traded here, but they did buy it down here, and we're getting this kind of like low volume pocket filling. So this, when I say low volume pocket, it's like this area right here. So all of this that didn't get filled in earlier, this is what I saw on this chart. Where like, if we were going to hold these lows, this is where it kind of needs to be, at least for this week. And then we could start to really get back into this area. So up here, just so you know, a lot of sellers, right? And so what I was looking at on this chart, kind of conversely, is that this could be the highs of this range right in here. Does this make sense for you guys? We're going to call this red. So we're going to call this supply. So demand here, supply here. And this kind of makes sense for Miss Cleo's prediction. But it really pans out as like, okay, we spend some time, dips get bought, and then rallies get sold. And we spend a lot of time just kind of filling in this general area until we can either resolve to the upside or to the downside, one way or the other. But quite frankly, that's exactly how I see it this week, which isn't necessarily fun. Let me just turn these back on. And kind of like exactly what's happening right now. So we're sitting in between also like some of our significant SMAs. And I hate every time I move this monitor over, these things get lighter. So you can't really see it. But this is the 50-day daily simple moving average in blue here. And this is the 20-day daily simple moving average here in kind of gray. I know it's a 3-hour chart, but look, these are locked on the daily interval. So that's what it should look like on yours. We're slightly below, but this is technically a higher low below the 50-day SMA, which is what I like to snipe most of the time, right into this price of interest right over here. So this could be potentially the beginning of your Santa Claus rally. Did you have any other levels that I'm missing here?
On SPY, not really. You just pointed out that price of interest. That was kind of my price of interest too. The kind of where the low came to after FOMC, after Jerome Powell.
Yeah, so we just filled in this low volume pocket right here from whatever day this was. This is December. This is Christmas Eve. Oh man, and this is just a perfect example, like low volume rally, low volume sell off. We'll see low volume sell off. This is typical holiday stuff. Dipski, yeah, and then Ripski for sure. But technically, this is a higher low. This is still a higher high. So the reason I'm not thinking that we go, let's say this is lower high here. We have another lower high here. And the reason I can't really say like this is a major trend change is that even though this is potentially a higher low, it can still set us up for a lot of chops. So I don't know that we really break out of anything. We would have to breach up here to kind of get that V out recovery set up. Where's this? I mean, geez, yesterday's high. If I just turn on regular trading hours, dude, yesterday's high is way up here.
Way up there. Yeah, it's
way up here. So like it has to get over this whole thing to really say, okay, well, we're going to change structure. It's got to get way over here. And then we'd have to lock in a higher low again here, which would be your definite buy and confirmation of like, okay, we're back in trend. But for now, you kind of just have this as a potential higher low. Yeah, this ends up being a higher low here. This is our uptrend. Where would this all have to be? So higher high. This was higher low. Lower high. Definite lower low. Lower high. So see how we're starting to change trend a little bit. So even though this is potentially a higher high, if we get another lower high here, we could be setting up for a lower low over there. But it's all going to depend on where we stop on this next one up in here, which could be probably like Q1. For now, though, this is I mean, definitively like a good place to take a shot. At least it was this morning. And we'll see. I think there's some things that are decently on discount, but yeah, I'm kind of shocked at like how Tesla has not been holding up that well. So that's SPY. Q's very similar. Clearly higher highs, higher lows, but then lower lows here, definitively lower high. But again, same setup, right? Same setup. This is going to be like your last price of interest right in here. And we actually filled it almost perfectly. Look at this. Right in there. So I just got to say, like, to me, this sets up some digestion, right? So it sets up some digestion. Expect a lower high and then potentially a higher low after a lower high and chop out a little bit as we head into, really, I'm thinking like inauguration. So moving into inauguration, I think that's when we're going to start actually seeing some better movement moving forward. But 521.33 is Q's NFP high or low from December. We need to see over that. If we get over that, we go to 526. Did I catch this on SPY? We are way
if
far
you
away.
do a midpoint between those two NFP levels, we're right at the midpoint. We're smack in the middle of the two NFPs. I just measured that.
And honestly, this is pretty close, like close enough for cover. I had 575, right, as target, but that's damn close enough. And now we're locking that higher low. So yeah, it's interesting. Whenever you're near these like major SMAs, like this is the chop that we get, right? And I would expect exactly that. So, you know, honestly, this could fill this gap. There's a little tiny session gap right in here at some point of the week. That's 600 towards that Thursday if we have like major rallies. But that would be it. I really wouldn't expect much more from that. At least not in this setup, because then we could pull back, retest the 50 again, lock in another higher low. And like I said, just kind of like chop around. So this it's kind of it's a boring week. It's not a swing trading week. It's definitely a week to to be on the safer side, right? Maybe selling some premiums. There's a chart out there though that looks better. IWM is rough, right? It's rough. It could come down just like in these 210s, but it's also it's rough. It's somewhat similar. This has been wild to trade though. I'll give you that, right? So we actually filled the exact fair value. 217.70 is kind of like my NFP levels here. Two of them right back to back. So as long as this is holding as the local low, it looks okay. But again, it looks like it's in trouble. So not great for options. But if we do get it bounced, this and diamonds are probably like your best values. I mean, it's all kind of setting up similar now that I look at it. Higher lows, filling that like low volume pocket from right here, heavy low volume pocket from November. It's not bad, and major volume control. There was one I was short puts on TLT earlier, and I was thinking, hey, look, the local top for long bonds are in. I actually closed those at a small loss, but I don't know. The trade, it still looks the same. So if the long bonds start to come down and maybe we were somewhat overpriced, then TLT, this could be a neutral to bullish trade, very short-term bullish. So I'm still looking at this. I would not expect a lot of major upside, but this is one where, look, it's had a minute to have the bears break it down. They just really stopped pushing it higher or lower. Sorry. So at this point, I might put that back on. That was selling some pretty tight put credit spreads. I really wouldn't. I'm not super interested in going long options on TLT. I just don't have the biggest upside. But yeah, so like someone's asking, Jara is asking about healthcare. It's similar. So big gap down today. I closed this on Friday. Is potential reentry. There's a UNH headline today. That's the biggest component here. Did you catch that headline? And I don't think it was super important. To be fair, it was more like about how the doctors, how UNH had like some army of doctors, working with Medicare to make all their money. But yeah, I would not sell UNH like equity. This is not one that makes big moves, and I think it's going to be troubled for a while. But I think this kind of like chops out and carves out a low. So I would buy dips on equity. I would not be options here. I don't think that you're going to get like the old, $50 candles on UNH or $20 candles on UNH anytime soon with the amount of headline risk that they have right now. So I just think it bases out on that. But healthcare overall, there's a lot to be said about potential value there. It's probably one of the most. This is down on the year, right? Healthcare. It's got to be. Yeah. So this is kind of an ugly setup, but January of 24. It's barely down on the year. So this is about flat for the year. But pulling back, it's potential dip buys, but like I said, I don't know that it's like ripe and ready to run unless we have, at least not with what's coming from this current administration. To me, it's the dollar, right? So dollar is super interesting. This is very, very toppy. If you do see that, and this, as we were coming into the holidays, like the dollar ripping higher like this is just a literal representation of like people running to cash. But I think it's a bit overdone here. And this is definitely a chart that would give you a lot of your cues moving forward. So if you see the dollar pulling back, that's going to be good for a lot, for all equities in general, and maybe even some of that China stuff. So I don't know what the catalyst was for like the China trade.
It was just some PMI data on Friday.
Oh, was it K-Web? K-Web. Dude, this looks ugly. What is Hang Seng? This is total sideways. Dude, this is like the most frustrating trade ever to be long Chinese equities. It's like you get a run and then it gives it all back, and here you are. You're just going sideways still. I mean, eventually, maybe the thesis plays out, but you got to be really patient on this stuff. Was it JD? Yeah, Baidu, dude. I mean, Baidu is a discount, right? But Chinese equities, man, these do not trade on technical or fundamentals at all.
It's tough, and the charts are different because most of the move happens in the overnight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. These Chinese equities simply trade off of policy stance. That's it, right? And we're just looking to see if some of the stimulus can hit the consumer. And until then, what was the Temu factory explosion?
Oh, that tweet was hilarious. It said a 57,000 square foot Temu factory went up in flames. The total estimated loss is expected to be 56.
Yeah, 57,000 square foot Temu warehouse in China went up in flames today. Total loss inventory is estimated to be as high as $56.19 USD. There's your PDD, man. I don't know what to say about that. What he Tesla 450 call? I don't know. I don't think so. No. What? Who said that? It's not happening. Sell that call. Tesla's not going to be 450 today. No shot. But what is it? What day was it? For
Thursday morning's the deliveries.
Thursday morning. So you wait till like Tuesday and see what this goes. But look, like I said, what we want to see is the lows locked in early, and we want to close at the highs. So far we've locked the lows early. We're gonna pull back, right? This is again why we're here at the lunch hour. We're gonna pull back, zoom out, look left, and you want to see this kind of base somewhere around this 590 area. And that's gonna be really good right in here. So you want to see this cohort of buyers defend at some point, right? And then if we can do that and close up somewhere towards the highs, that's going to be ideal. I'm going to check on my MSTR because I'm still short. Dude, MSTR almost hit 300 today. Little double bottom intraday, but 302. I sold a bunch of $20 puts Friday, which I was kind of hoping that we would get a bigger bounce so I could get a sign, but no dice. Maybe I'll close them out and reopen later. It's okay.
It's teetering. It is teetering.
It's teetering. It's below the 50. But again, this is your 50-day. That was actually the 50-day is what MSTR lost in the pre-market this morning at 329. So I do think that we get close to that 270 like session gap.
So the question is coin leading MSTR down now?
Is it? I haven't even looked at coin today. Yeah, it kind of is. So I did sell my coin equity up in here. I bought it I bought it over here. Good trade. But now I think coin is like, I'd rather coin. And we look at this, you're like, oh.
Yeah, you look left and you start that 200-day. If we somehow get that 200-day on coin, I think I would be very, if it like chops sideways for a bit, the 200 catches up just slightly to right where basically that line is that you just drew.
So this is a strange profile. So I just took this prior consolidation and just took a volume profile view of that. That's going to line up to this double top. That's quite a bit further downside, 220. But look, if we do get that dip on Bitcoin, that's probably going to line you up. It might even overshoot this because there is the session gap on Coinbase. Oh, God.
Yeah, and that session gap's below the 200-day. That would be like an undercut of it.
Yeah. Where's our 200? So our 200, is 227. It would be that undercut. And that's what I was kind of looking for on Boeing. Like I was really hoping, and this is where Boeing hits 200-day in the pre-market. Boom, slapped it. I don't know that this is it for Boeing. Usually what I'm looking for is like a higher low below one of these like significant moving averages. So just as an example, right? Here's the 20 and the 50 on Boeing. So you have this high, low, higher low, breach. So break of structure here, 141. That's BOS says break of structure. And that higher low locks in right in here. So this is like my buy zone. I was looking for 133, but I ended up buying right in here on both of these. And actually selling my options closed out like right in here as we got to this kind of volume structure here. So that's your box right now for Boeing. So to me, I was looking like, okay, if we get a higher low, it would ideally be in this area. And I had written 168s, right? And so I still like, if we get another, if this is the low on Boeing, I honestly this could be a really good long-term entry on Boeing anywhere in this area.
And when they get news like this, it likes to sell off and the dip gets eaten up usually pretty quick.
I mean,
because nothing's changed really in the overall narrative other than they had one accident and one of them wasn't even attributed to them.
I would say cautious, right? Cautious here. So if I just did my normal things, Boeing has to close over 176 for me to think that we get that session got filled. I mean, and the fact that with 2 crashes over the weekend, if Boeing can fill this gap and hold, like, dude, then I really kind of have to say the lows are in on this. Like, because to retrace all that after 2 crashes,
yeah, plus it was like the deadliest year, I think, in 2024 for airline crashes or something like that. That revert to the mean, right? At some point, like the probabilities and odds are going to go back the other direction.
Yeah.
Trend Spider.
What's up? All right. Okay, so I said we'd look at some of these guys' requests. So let's do that, and then we'll call it. So we're just at the full hour here. Okay. NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, so we can take a look at NVIDIA. I think that's important. So no, no, I'm just like quickly no. So this blue line, that's the 50-day. You're at targets here. So I don't want to press this bet. So NVIDIA has been in a setup for a long time. So these 2 lines, that's SMAs. Cross downside, that's fine. I think the next higher low, potentially, which should be, it's setting up here, right? So if you get a retest, I don't think this is breakout. So this is where you want to be retest trader, especially in a situation like NVIDIA. Definitely want to be a retest trader. Do not want to be a breakout trader on this bad boy right now. I'll just tell you that much for sure. But
hey, Brad did confirm Jensen Huang is going to give the CES opening keynote speech January 6th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So January 6th is Monday night. Jensen Huang is speaking to give the keynote.
There you go. So I think this is going to be like 137, but still not kind of like that breakout trade. Unless a low volume rally shows up tomorrow, that's fine. If you're over, the thing is you're right into resistance, right? You're right into this area here. So look at this, where you see where the seller's stepping in. I need to get it. Whatever. I can't find the right things, but like this area right here, you're stuck, right? So where the seller is stepping in, it's literally right here. And even a little bit right there, right? So you got to be really cautious on NVIDIA right in this area. Honestly, it's like a no-touch zone for me, dude. And I think you'd be cleaner like if you wait a little bit till it gets out of that very tiny, very small little box. It's probably sideways, dude, for a while. What is with so oh no, this is but okay, so I just moved offices. This is work in progress. There's a little sign. Can you see that sign? Oh, wrong way. There's a little sign. That's a neon sign. It'll get lit up. And then I got a fireplace coming because I was like, I want
What?
yeah. It gets cold over here. So I might get like a red swanky leather chair, a little fireplace, and it'll just be like fireside chat, man.
There you go.
But yeah, so this is, I mean, I'm still saying it's possible. MSTR is somehow holding 300. Give it a minute. Like there's still a lot of MSTR bulls out there. MDB is a request. MD, that's Mongo. Ooh, look at this. I don't.
Oh, just got a little.
This is ugly, dude. So this was software, right? So the software sector IGB is the ticker.
Holy cow!
These might be setting up. I mean, MDB looks like it's already. Dude, what a sell-off! Are you joking? What did they say? This is brutal.
Like over 30% down in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, I missed this trade. I mean, if you guys caught it, great. But I think this is where they were buying, right? Like right in here. So I'd say your downside is done. So it's rare that we get like these V out type recoveries, these V recoveries like this, and then you get earnings right there. What I can say is that you've priced this. So without knowing a lot about their forecast, they're beating, and you've repriced this essentially back to June of 2024. I mean, look at this huge sell-off, rip, recovery, right back to the scene of the crime.
And Kerplunk.
That
was on earnings too, which their earnings, the guide wasn't very good. Their year-over-year growth was actually down, and their CFO left.
Oh, CFO leaving is always like a death blow. Not always, but it's usually one of those that like
He was a pretty critical one, Michael Gordon. It was a big note on the AI summary.
I think this is just setting up for your trade, right? Either it bases right around here again, because this has been essentially now at this price for the better part of 5 years. Shit, right in here, and this is usually where they buy it. So I mean, if you went ahead and bought some equity, this is not an options trade. You could buy some, hope it bounces, but you got to have a stop like that 190s, which is like more than 10% downside. 200s. I mean, if you see it at 200, I think you do. But this is 210 right in here, 215s. So 213 exactly are these local lows right in here. The biggest thing is this is simply just a double bottom. It barely. So this flush candle takes you to 225 here. Yeah, I think you can trade it for a bounce or watch for a bounce if it gets over 240. If it gets over 240, I think you get a bounce into the 270 areas.
Is it the new Bucky, J. Roy?
I mean,
it's similar vibes.
J. Roy? Was that from J. Roy? He was a snowflake bull, man. Oh shit! I know he got some profit here, but Snowflake, yeah. Maybe we go after Snowflake, dude, because this is not super. Oh, and they're losing it right now. Way to go, J. Roy. Maybe potentially finding my next trade. Nah, my only like legit trade here is like it's not even like that legit. It's MSTR short, MSTZ. Yeah, because this probably goes into that lower area again, in the 140s for a better buy. So you could, it's either got to stop here now, or you see the 140s, and they'll give it another shot, because that was kind of a turnaround. It was a turnaround quarter, but they're still in investment mode for sure. But yeah, good shout out at Mongo. I haven't seen that in forever. Yeah, sorry, I'll have to update this. My I think Amp was saying, look, I just setting this up, so yeah, give me a little bit to tweak these settings. Okay, so Ethereum. I've been saying I think maybe Bitcoin dominance comes back into play. That doesn't mean that it's bullish Bitcoin over Ethereum. This is definitively what's this from? Oh, wow, that's from a very old trend line. Sometimes even if Bitcoin becomes regains some of its dominance, then it still goes down. Ethereum, I had closer to 3K, quite frankly. This is very much in that mode of okay, it's potentially bounce. This is possibly a dip buy here, but I don't know that the lows are in. It's the same thing, right? So I think it's a buyable dip for a bounce, but does it make a new high? And are the lows in? No and no is where I'm at. Does that make sense? So I think it's a tradable bounce for a lower high. And then you have to exit stage left if you're trading it, because I don't know that the lows are in. I would rather be a buyer closer to this 3K and just slightly below this order block right in here. So if you look left on the Ethereum chart, this area right here is more interesting. So we got it. Small dip into it right there. That might be all it gets. Who knows? But we're not out of the woods completely on this guy at all. And this is going to line up close to the 200. But yeah, I'll just say as close to or below 3K as you can for legitimate potential dip buy. Otherwise, these are just bounce zones, if that makes sense. Retesting this entire. So this is a big shelf here on Ethereum for a larger group of buyers that were long. I think they probably saw their opportunity and took some of this profit here, like I did. And if I do this longer term, we're going to do this. So you're going to take this local high and these guys, just kind of chart this out. And so this is where that lands me kind of in this consolidation mode, and why I would say, hey, look, probably lower high and higher lows, because this is what I'm seeing in terms of Ethereum. Definite consolidation. See these? So that means that my better buys, while this could bounce up into here, it's still going to hit this somewhere around 38s, 39s, maybe 37s. And then I could see another higher low right in here. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Something like that. That could be all of Q2. So I think it's bounceable, not the greatest.
There's a couple ways I've drawn fibs on this. That 3,300 area that it's chopping at is basically a golden retrace zone that it's trying to support off of.
From here?
I went from high to low from the recent one. From
this one?
Upper left down to the...
This low?
No. I went from high, upper left, down to the low. And we came back to 100% retrace, and now we're back testing where the 618 would be.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so essentially we from the high we made back in March, we fully retraced it. Now we're coming back to where the 618 was. There's just a zone there. And if you go further left and zoom out even more, on a monthly, it's the same level. They both line up exactly the same, 33.40. So it's a really interesting spot to chop at, honestly.
Yeah. So, but I think to your point, that's exactly what I see here. I just see this as total consolidation. Yeah, even from here to here, this is your 618 right in that pocket, just like you're talking about. And then that lows closer to that under 3K level. It's kind of like that halfback of this. So you're chopping in a larger golden pocket, but in heavy consolidation for sure. I just think it goes sideways. So I would be more like, yeah, I would just kind of leave this one be. I'm not sure that goes anywhere crazy. So I wouldn't, I mean, so I think Ethereum has like a different seasonality, if that makes sense. So it's usually like Bitcoin, Ethereum, than the alts. So maybe if you see this breaking through at some point, this is what has to happen, right? You have to be over the 38, 39s and this broader downtrend here and out of this consolidation. So if Ethereum can do that, which it's possible, really into that inauguration kind of time frame, or at least post inauguration, we might see some of that stuff, right? So, but that's the crypto can move like crazy just overnight session, right? Usually 10% moves, no problem. So let's see what else do we have. We did Coinbase. Frankie, that's your Ethereum. Coinbase slightly. So I'm not super bullish on crypto. If you haven't figured out, I'm neutral. I think you let this breathe and you look for potential dips, or you wait for the real breakout to start. Because the real problem with sniping dips in this setup is that it might just not stop dipping until Q4. Right? Like that's my biggest concern. We can look at AMD. So I think if anybody has a better CES story, it's probably AMD. We are just trending lower still. Again, you breached this recent low. So you have like continuation bearish structure. This was like your absolute lows here, 120s. You made a new low. You are close to the 200-week simple moving average, significantly far away from the 20, 50, and 200s. But yeah.
And what's the point that you keep making with AMD? Second best and trading at what type of multiple?
Yeah, like double the PE ratio.
That's tough.
It's literally double the PE ratio of NVIDIA here as a second best player. I mean, CES consumer driven, and that's where their play is to me. But to be quite frank, like I've been long Best Buy for like this, like AI revolution. It hasn't been great, right? It's just been choppy. But although I did get my AI phone, did you know? Here, look, did you know? Like your AI phone, you just double tap. Oh, is it because you're locked? I double tap. Oh yeah, you just double tap the bottom and then you get Chat GPT. Like it's wild.
Yeah, is that the 16? Or my wife has that on hers.
16 something. Yeah, you just double tap and boom, Chat GPT. Yeah, kind of crazy. But even this, like, it's been a slow movement for sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's all of this. So this whole setup, a lot of this stuff, it's like it's a bounce, but or the lows in, I don't know. So we bounce to lock up higher lows. You can look at it two ways. If you're gearing up for 2025 and you're trying to like clean things up, use those bounces as kind of like your exit liquidity, and then have your shopping list of like, what are you going to buy, right? So like on my shopping list, we'll have to do another video later. I have like Shopify under 100. Like if we get close to filling these gaps, I think it's like 98 and change. I have a resting order as a starter, but I'd like to see Shopify lower and then potentially get in here as close to 90 as I can. that's one on my list. I did start a Mercado Libre position at 1675, but it was just small. We'll see. I might
I'm long on Melly from equity from a while back, and I want to buy it. I just some of these Latin American FX issues need to clean up just a little bit.
So that's why it's like back to the dollar, right? So if the dollar comes back down, I think it's bullish for these, really. So like if the dollar can start to come down for a lot of these emerging markets, it's going to be net bullish, if that makes sense. But we don't have that. You know, Trump wants a strong dollar. That's what he wants, right? So it's hard to get away with that. And we'll see a lot of that in rates as well. But these are, all right, we'll take a look. So this is, that's my thoughts right there. I'm just going to get through some of these for good. Broadcom. It's the same thing. You got a big bounce at the 210s ish, give or take. But to do what? This is all consolidation, man. So high, lower high. Okay. Definitively, this is not going higher right now. It's not. It's going sideways for probably a month. It's not breaking down, but you're likely going to lock in a higher low, somewhere around the 220s, somewhere in here. But the problem with this setup after a breakout earnings, so power earnings like this, you have to, on your first attempt to press up out of this, you have to get out. And if you don't, what happens is that you end up like, and Disney's always my go-to on this because it does it all the time, these crazy power earnings gaps. This one, it did break out through, but it comes back. And then the last one where they did something, where was it? It must have been a couple ago. Here, right? So you're here, Disney, breakout. And then I was in this trade. I remember the second that it didn't break through from this, you got to know, if you don't break through on that first attempt, you're going sideways for a considerable period of time. And then this ends up going sideways for like another couple weeks. So 1, 2, finally breach it, still got to come back. And then, I mean, look how long this is until it finally starts to go. So you got to mark that high on Broadcom. You're probably going to lock in a lower, higher low, but it's probably going to be something like this where you're essentially here on Broadcom, and this kind of timetable is like a full month away. So you gotta let that breathe.
You had a massive breakout too. You look at the consolidation it had, like a triple top at 184-ish, and then shot up 38%. Like it's got to digest that move. So I agree.
Yeah, at least like a legit month. Someone tell me I shouldn't yell at Netflix. I mean, did you finish Squid Games?
So I haven't checked Squid Games yet, but the NFL games went extremely well. Actually, the numbers came out. Nielsen somehow is partnered with Nielsen. I don't know what kind of monopoly Nielsen has on ratings, but they have every ratings deal for all the streaming services. But they said 24 and 25 million average viewers for the 2 football games and like 60 million worldwide. So I think it was a pretty successful thing. Now it's do they sell the news a little bit? That's obviously
a little bit. Yeah. So Netflix is doing okay. It's below the 20-day today. And it closed the week below the 20-day for the first time in a very long time. That's that kind of like gray line here. So it's not I don't want to say it's in trouble, but it's in trouble unless it can get its act together. And yeah, I think it's not cheap. It's not cheap. It's still a position for me. I'm going to build into this one if we get like dips closer to the 8s. But yeah, this is one where, hey, look, that could go on your shopping list. But I think it's at a 40 PE right now. It's not cheap for sure. So if you're looking at, but I will say PE is not, it's a horrible indicator in terms of like when to buy or sell stocks. It's literally the worst, aside from RSI. So take that with a bag of salt. But yeah, so Netflix here, we'll see, right? You got to hold these local lows closer to the like high 800s, 890s. I think we hit like 889 earlier today. But if we can get an extension through the 20, which is basically 915, not basically, it's literally 915, and this area right in here. So what we want to see is here's your midline. And you want to see this area continuously get bought as higher lows, higher low, higher low. This is constructive, but it's also lower highs. So it's stuck in this box right now. I think this is one where like you could say, hey, look, this is going to be a minute. Let it consolidate out. But yeah, I'm staying long, but I got lots of room to add here. I have more cash than I've had in a long time. Which is scary because sometimes I'll like accidentally buy chips. Ooh, Tessie though, decent, right? Again, catalyst coming right after 20. You want to see this holding the 20. That's at 420, I say 20-day simple moving average. You want to see this holding the 20-day simple moving average. If you get a breach of this line in the pre-market though, look out, right? Because it's going to be a red day that day. It's very close, little double bottom. We do have a catalyst on deck, but I think the market's pretty bulled up on Tesla in general. So I would say I would expect Tesla to hold up better than most. But if you do get a pullback, it's I don't know what to say. It's in the mid 300s, so mid to high 300s, like 360s. It's here, man. It's the 50-day simple moving average. That's about 340 to 350. So that's a proper retest. If you do get a breakdown, full blown breakdown, I don't know that we get it. I don't have a reason to trade for it right now. And if we do see like small breaches get bought up quickly, it's probably just going to go let this digest for a bit. But if you get that pre-market breach of that 20-day simple moving average here, just know that day for a day trade, not a swing trade, is going to be brutal. But for right now, these guys are buying it up right around that 420 mark. So, I mean, hopefully that becomes the base, but we're just sitting on it right now. So let this one breathe.
Seems like there's a lot of let them breathe out there right now.
Oh, it's a ton, yeah.
In the time of year.
Yeah. Victor.
What about
only if this holds, right? But you got that catalyst coming, so you never know. There's a lot of bulls here, Tessie. They like the 420, dude. So it's a special number.
420.69. There it is, right there. Victor had it.
Yeah, 420.69. You guys are hilarious.
Which, looking at a relative strength today, Netflix is actually holding up pretty well. Obviously, NVIDIA had a little bit of decent news, but Netflix is holding up pretty well, and Google actually went over pre-market high while ago.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to try and run through this. Shit. Amazon. So Amazon, I'm in long consumer. Again, below the 20. Look, I think we're in bouncy territory. Dude, it's all just hurry up and wait, right? Like bounce, hurry, and then wait, because this is below the 200. Guys, so higher low under a significant moving average. We have the first breach. We have the first full day trading below. Wait for the next higher low, which means you're going to be waiting for a minute. I really wanted into this like closer to 200s. But yeah, for the year, this is definitely got to be top on the list, right? So massive here. I'm 350 for the year, potentially. Potential. Could be like threes. But you're very close to this first one already. 299 is here. That's the year. Potential extension into this 350 area for the year, 2025 year. So again, top for the year to me, definitely. But where can this pull back to in the interim? I mean, I guess it could be all the way back there, but it's, yeah. Look, you see Amazon in this 200. I think you got to go for it. 200 level area, right where Bezos was selling all his stuff. For now, we're just going to test this area. It's very far away from like any significant moving average or like 50.
Yeah, it hadn't touched the 50 days since September 11th, and that's down at 209.
Yeah, I mean, just a base. I mean, Amazon usually gives you an opportunity. You don't have to like rush into it, but if you're not ready, it's usually pretty quick when it happens. Like quick. So I maybe wait for a better entry, at least retesting this area in here. See if these guys lift it up around 200s, 210s. But it's not, again, if we have all this like holiday low volume rally, that's great. But the thing is, if we have a low volume rally for the holidays, for the Santa Claus rally, that's also usually a local top. Be very cautious.
Well, there's a lot of IWM questions today.
I'm trying to 350 for 2025. But while Tesla rolls, oh god, is that Dan? Is that went over? Oh yeah, a lot of So yeah, I think this is just in general. We did go over IWM. It's the rate stuff, right? So we were 4 rate cuts. Now we're 2. I think if we see no cuts priced in for 2025, I think you hammer that. But for right now, you gotta let that you gotta let that hash out.
I mean, they're pricing in. It actually moved a little bit on the Fed Watch tool today to where they're pricing in a slight chance for March, but by the end of the year, it's still a very low chance to get more than 2 rate cuts.
Yeah,
really, it's almost like basically, I mean, December's like your next shot at it. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch play out.
dude, Roku has slowly turned into a very ugly wiki chart. Look at these candles on Roku. You remember when Roku used to be a clean chart? Now this is like, ew.
Roku just needs to do a better job of monetizing and capitalizing on the amount of devices they have out there.
Yeah. I mean, this is a long road to trudge if you're going to be in Roku. He's right in the middle. I don't think this is going to be fun to trade. I think it's going to be pretty illiquid options right now because of where it is technically. Literally right in the middle. Big base. I'm not a big Roku bull. EMP is like a huge Roku bull. But
I don't know about huge bull, but I don't think it's a short. I think it's got a lot of potential, which I mean, I talked about buying the dip on this name back, and it's bounced both times since then. And so now it's like, okay, it's taken a couple of the upside shots at it. Now it's like, okay, let's
I mean, if you see the 60s again, you're probably okay. But like that's where I think it's like high 60s, 69s, and you fill this like whatever pocket was created here. But I would be mostly concerned about option liquidity because I don't want to be in heavy equity personally, but like this is the area right in here that you'd want to see this bounce at. I mean, if this
I longed it at 50. I longed it at 50 and it made, basically a 50% move from there. And I took off most everything, just held a little bit of equity and
for sure.
I've barely got anything left.
Yeah.
At this point.
Victor. Dude, I'm not saying anything, but it didn't really end. Oh yeah, I watched it, dude. I watched it right away. But it didn't really end. I'm like, they're still in the game and the season's over. Like, what's happening right now?
Oh, they're setting up season 3, of course.
Yeah. Got Meta. Someone's got Meta. And then we'll call it here. So Meta is holding. I mean, still probably one of your cheaper Mag 7s. reasonably priced, but I think that kind of sets it up same. So you're getting dip buys, 585s on the 50-day. So this one has tagged as 50. But again, you want to see this, like this is probably gonna, I don't know that this is over. Probably gonna base out, and then you're gonna get this kind of move. So that means a lot of chop for a bit, not exactly swingable. We talked about that broadening setup, the broadening formation. It's not breaking down, whatever it was, but it's not going higher either. So we're in here at almost exactly the center line of this whole situation, right? And so that real breach, and I'll take this over to a daily, so maybe you can see it a little bit more. So the first breach was here, trigger, long. Actually, was it weekly? It was weekly. At 555 was the weekly trigger. These lines. So this is sideways for a minute. I'd say 570s. I'd rather say 570, 575. But it's this center line here. Around 570s. Yeah, you don't want to see it really taking out those lows. That's not going to be fun. Because low end like this goes all the way down. And we talked about this setup for a while. But at this point, yeah, you got to go candles. As long as you're holding here, that's fine. 580s, 577, and you're right in that center line here for that consolidation. It's if it loses this area, then yeah, we are going all the way down, which isn't going to be fun.
Another one sitting in the golden pocket and right in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
So many charts like this.
Yep. All right, guys. I think let me look at, yeah, we could take a look. We got Solana and Uber, and then it's literally it. But I'll do Uber first since we're still on stocks. I had 60 to 55 as like my area. It's way below these, and I was thinking like this whole thing is overdone. I'm not in outright calls. I'm in a spread. The reason it's 55 is because it's over here, and it's just not going anywhere. Inside this consolidation, if you guys don't know what Wyckoff is, this is accumulation kind of at its finest. But they're accumulating really close to 60 right now. So, but if whoever's buying it here around 60 isn't enough to push it like all the way back up, and then it's got to go and retest that lower bound, which is closer to 55s. And until then, it's just kind of like building a base. So you want to see this base breakout. And that first move is actually going to be, it's going to be kind of violent. It's like Uber is like a real squeezy one. So it's 60, you can see this, and then you can see this boom, and then you see something like that. But that's what it would look like when this goes. It's not even, it's going to be like 70 first. But this is not completely out.
I longed this name too at 60, and it had a great first day, and then it came back to consolidate. There's that big shelf that it's fighting with right there at 62.
Yeah, exactly. And
Big
like,
shelf.
yes, this is the 62 shelf that he's talking about. So this is the one that you do want to be a little bit more concerned about. Oops.
I just think some of the sell-off in this name was unfounded. Just the robo-taxi stuff and even some of the Waymo stuff. But I don't.
Me too.
Uber has
honestly.
become a verb, right? So when something becomes a verb, I tend to stay fairly bullish on it.
Yeah. So that said, like even still, like I think that this is tradable bounce. You could say the same thing on this, like this for like a lot of the dollar stocks or whatever too, dollar store stocks. Even if it gets a bounce, like max bounce, this is 30% equity. It's not bad. What's the biggest bounceable one? Dollar Tree. This is actually a big deal. Potential. Not big deal pickle. Um, so I think so broken downtrend, huge discount on this guy. But the way these play out, it takes a while, right? So you're how far from the lows? 60% down. And every time we've gotten here, it makes it interesting, right? Like it makes this whole situation really interesting. Because you're talking about 2013 levels, 2015, COVID lows. And a company is going to make a lot of money, albeit not super profitable.
Yeah,
So I think
DG's got a similar setup too.
Yeah, that's the challenge here. So I think this continues to chop sideways, and you could start maybe on the next dip, because when it's broken out a downtrend, but look, it's not like it's breaking out. So stocks 3 directions. So 1 direction down, 2 directions sideways, then the 3rd direction upside. But your clean session gap is like that's 94. I think you eventually get there, actually. So this would be kind of like that retest of 70s. If this ends up being a double top that holds in the 70s, that would be more interesting for me. Tradable. I don't know about investment. Oh shit! I said I was going to do Solana. Dude, there is this huge issue with USD, by the way. Like this is partly what's scaring me. So like this is the stable coin Tether. Tether's got some shenanigans going on. I don't know. Tom Crown's around. He can tell us, but there's some shit going on in crypto. But anyways, so this is Solana. Yeah, breakout, retest, but this is a potential deeper cut.
20-week moving average is basically those lows right there that it's holding for now.
Yeah. Is it a double top? No. It's not a double top. So that's good. Not a double top 260. I think this is just a back test. I feel like you could be heavier Solana than Ethereum. I said it. So
Solana looks closer to the Bitcoin chart with that like long consolidation
70.
flag and then breakout and back test. It's like it's accelerated the back test that Bitcoin needs to do.
Yeah, so in the 70s, right? So 170s. So here's your full kind of area. I guess it's actually up to here. Right there. Tommy Crown is gonna. We would need that lines up exactly. So 165s. I was gonna say 170s. Your full, yeah. So this is 170s is a clean golden pocket. It's here.
JB, it wouldn't be a bull run without USDT shenanigans.
Oh yeah, it's just serious shenanigans going on. Maybe a basis, but like this is one where like I wouldn't be, again, not super chasey, because it's like they're building. If this it's like this, if this investor base that's building here is not enough to get it over this hump, it has to go lower, right? And so like as it pings down into here, it gets up here, people are still selling. So whoever's selling up here has to get exhausted. And if they're still available, if they're still around and they show up literally right here, then you got to go deeper to incentivize new buyers and finally get through, right? Like literally, this is that. So it's making a run here, but it's not. It's just bouncy. Not out of the woods in my mind here. I think you can get into this fair value. So if it's not over 198, it's not done consolidating. How's that? Which means that you might get a little bit deeper buy, which is going to put you around 168, 170s. As close to 170 as you can. Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh, is that Ava? What's up, Ava? Or maybe it just transfers to USD. I don't know. But yeah, major issues with Tether. All right, guys, I gotta call it. That's plenty for now. Amp, I appreciate you hanging the whole show. How many trades did you do on futures the whole time?
I took at least 3 while we were on the show.
Hilarious, man. Yeah, so I mean, looks somewhat constructive. MSTR did bounce, and Boeing's still holding the highs. We'll see. Robinhood, look at these dip buys are getting bought every time.
Yeah, so get long, stay long.
Get long, stay long.
Not financial advice.
That's it for me and Emp. We will see you out there. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you next year. Adios.